Bismillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very warm welcome to Living the Life on Monday, the 10th of December, with Raheen Jung.
And with Hassana Amaji. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to be talking about how best to deal with the loss of a loved one. Our second guest of the night has written a book about this subject, so please welcome to the show Sister Hafizah Ismail. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Wa
alaikum salam.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Now, on to a more serious note, losing our loved ones can be a truly devastating time for all involved, and even more so when mothers lose their own children.
Absolutely. Well, with us tonight is a woman who's explored this subject extensively, so please give a warm welcome to Hafizah Ismail. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Hafizah. A very tricky subject indeed. I mean, if we can start by asking, what was it that got you first involved in such a delicate area?
Well, in April 2011, my beloved 2-year-old nephew Ismail was diagnosed with leukemia and died a short while later. A very sad time for the family. And I realised very shortly after that really there was no organisation where parents could actually go and seek specific advice, you know, from an Islamic perspective on bereavement issues, on grief, loss, bereavement issues. And I don't think it was a coincidence, but mashallah, I met a number of Muslim parents who had also experienced the same thing. Yeah. And I read a number of books and I thought, there isn't anything. So therefore, alhamdulillah, I think it's time somebody started a group or it's just support page, inshallah, to help these parents out.
And the organisation's called Children of Jannah.
That's right, Children of Jannah.
And it started about a year ago, is that right?
Yes, yes, alhamdulillah, yes.
And you make an interesting point, you know, it was your nephew, and I think that sometimes the extended family can be forgotten sometimes, because the death of a child in a family affects everybody. The grandparents, uncles, aunties, brothers, sisters, cousins, everybody feels it so acutely.
Yes, absolutely. All of the family felt it then, and it was extremely difficult for all of us as well. And I think different people cope with it in different ways as well, in terms of, you know, the support that the mother might need, the support that the father might need, and also, like you said, we mustn't ignore the grandparents and the children, because children do grieve.
Of course. Yeah. So you realise that there seemed to be a lack of provision of this service within the Muslim community. Where did you go to at the start, looking for advice on how to set up support and help? I mean, did you find that within the wider community there was a lot of bereavement and grief services available?
Well, there are a number of child bereavement organisations that already exist in the UK. None of them are actually catering specifically for Muslims. And even now, alhamdulillah, we're working with some of the leading UK child bereavement organisations, and they too themselves feel that they're not quite meeting the needs of Muslim parents, and therefore, alhamdulillah, now we're collaborating with them and working together. What I did was, I basically purchased every book that I could get hold of on Amazon, because it just became a really fascinating subject for me. First of all, primarily to support myself, to support my family, my sister, and also the bereaved parents that were approaching me as well. And then, alhamdulillah, that's when I started my research and I authored my book, Sorrow to Serenity.
Okay.
Shaykh, this is a very, very, a serious topic, and it's something which probably affects quite a lot of the Muslim community. What's your thoughts on this?
First of all, I'd like to thank Sister Hafizah and and her husband. They've been doing a tremendous amount of work and really a role model in this area, and encourage other people to follow their footsteps as well. No doubt the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah will be there for you if you are there for people. So when you help people, Allah will help you. And the support that we should offer to our neighbors, to the community, like Muslim and non-Muslim as well, it should be not only financial support and material support, but also the emotional support, which is maybe even more important than that. And the Prophet ﷺ, once one of his companions, he lost a child, so the Prophet ﷺ went out of his way, because he asked, where is that person? And his kid, I don't see them in the masjid anymore. So he was told that the child died, so the man was depressed at home. So the Prophet ﷺ went to the person and talked to him and give his condolences to him, and he said, if you wish, I can pray to Allah to bring him back to life, to enjoy his company. But both of you will die. When you die, your son will die with you, or you will be patient and stay until the day of judgment come. Then your child will meet you and will take you to enter paradise from any gates you want.
Inshallah. I mean, I suppose what that brings to light, Shaykh, and to our sister Hafizah, is the specific Islamic context, and that's what you're talking about, that really bereavement, because when you're talking about things like death, then you automatically talk about beliefs and afterlife and all of that, so the context is different. But again, linking it to what the Shaykh was saying earlier, it puts an enormous stress on a marriage.
Yes, it does, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of our objectives, inshallah, in 2013 is to really look at sort of the way women grieve, the way men grieve. Are there any differences between men and women grieving? Because one thing that I've noticed is during the past year, I have, over our close Facebook pages, which I'll explain to you what they are about, is we have experienced a number of divorces that have taken place as a result of a child dying, because the mother is grieving in a specific way, the father is, and there's misunderstandings that are taking place, possibly due to a lack of communication and various other issues. So that is one topic, inshallah, that we will be focusing on, inshallah.
So what sort of activities have you found have been helpful to families that you're dealing with, people who've gone through this immensely difficult, so I mean, people say, you know, in passing, it's the most difficult thing that can happen to you, really, isn't it? It's the biggest test that one can face.
Yes.
What sort of things have you found helpful when dealing with the Muslim community?
One of the most important thing is the belief in Jannah, and which is why we actually chose the name Children of Jannah, because it's a name that gives hope, it's a name that gives something to live for where the children are. And one of the most beautiful things is, because it's not really something that you tend to think about. You may have children, but no parent expects their child to die before them. No. Even though there's a belief in Qadr, you don't really expect your child to die before you. So what Jannah does, the focus on Jannah, is that that's where my child is. And not only is my child in Jannah, but he's being looked after by the best. And that's Ibrahim alayhi salam and his wife. Yes. And there's so many descriptions of Jannah and where these children are that gives real hope and real benefit to our parents. And for many parents, they just didn't know that. So that's one thing, just really emphasising where their children are. Secondly, it's the permission to be human. It's all very well, what we found from our research and from what parents have said to us, is that many times the words "be patient" will be uttered by somebody else that with good intention,
but they don't really understand.
Exactly, exactly. So they're trying to help the bereaved parent, but what's happening is that by somebody saying to you straight away, "Be patient," it's almost giving them not the opportunity to grieve.
It's almost undermining, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's something you actually covered in your book, and the book is called Sorrow to Serenity.
It's a fantastic title. I love the title, Sorrow to Serenity.
And one of the exercises that you encourage parents to do is actually to write a letter to their lost child. Is that right?
That's right, yes. That's my favourite chapter in there. Yes, that's right. It's a chapter that I feel that many parents, mashallah, have benefited from. We've received an overwhelming responses from testimonials, via emails, via Facebook page, on really that chapter, because what that's doing is that it's placing their child somewhere. It's placing their child in a very safe and secure place, because even when the children are alive, you know, parents like to keep tabs on where their children are. They want to know where their children are. So what the beautiful thing about Islam is that it's placed them in a place called Jannah. And by writing a letter, you know, journal therapy, it's giving them an opportunity to write to their child, as well as the child writing back to them saying, "Mum, Dad, I'm okay, I'm in a safe place, I'm doing all these wonderful things, I'm, you know, sort of jumping from these trees, I'm doing all this crazy stuff, mashallah," and it's really helpful to the parent.
I mean, you didn't have, correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't have a professional background in psychology or counselling or grief work before this, did you?
No, my background is, I work as an education consultant, which means working with head teachers, basically maximising the potential and the ability with students and teachers, which is something, mashallah, I love. I also work as a life coach, so I think with those skills, as well as naturally trying to bring the best out in people in terms of working with education as a teacher, I think that's helped me with the work that I'm doing within Children of Jannah.
Now, going back to this topic that we're discussing about writing to the child, I mean, I can understand it would probably be quite an emotional experience for many parents. Can it at times become overwhelming?
It can. We've not had any responses where it has actually become overwhelming. The responses that we've had is that it's probably one of the best chapters in the book, because what they've done, because they've read the letter and they then have personalised the letter and they've wrote to their child, and the child has written back in a way they think the child would write back to them. But grief itself is very overwhelming. You know, it's tiring, it's exhausting, and which is why one of the other services that we provide is as well as our Facebook page, which is, mashallah, we provide a daily support, reminders to our parents and other people as well. We have closed Facebook groups, and what that does is that we have a mother's page and a father's page, and the beautiful thing about that is it allows the parents to share their story, because grief itself is very isolating. And so therefore to be given an opportunity of just somebody asking the words, what's happened? Because many times we don't do that to grievers, you see, like, what's happened? And from research, that's the biggest question that the grievers want us to ask.
I think people feel awkward, don't they? They don't want, they think they're bringing up the subject again, they don't want to touch on it.
Just before we end the show, if people want to get in touch, they want to find out more, how can they go about doing that?
They can contact us via our Facebook page, or they can contact us via info@childrenofjannah.com, and any information they request, whether it's to support somebody else that they know whose child has died, inshallah, we will provide them with the necessary information.
And Shaykh, how can people get in touch with yourself?
almaghrib.org, that's our website, and you can always reach me at my Twitter at Waleed, W-A-L-E-E-D-K, Basyouni, B-A-S-Y-O-U-N-I.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you both so much for joining us. Wish you the best of luck and all the blessings with your future work, inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Unfortunately, we've reached the end of today's Living the Life. A massive thank you for all of your messages, and to our guest, Shaykh Waleed Basyouni.
And of course, also to Hafizah Ismail. Living the Life will be back at the same time tomorrow evening. Do join us then. But until then, from all of us here at Living the Life, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.